What is up, everyone? Today we have yet another Exmark. Oddly enough, I've worked on this one before and exactly what we're going to be working on, but there's a story, so beware. So this is the ECS 180 CKA 3000. It's a very common machine. In fact, there's another one I'm going to be working on directly after this one, literally the exact same machine, just different problem. Majority of the problems comes from how the blades work. So this problem is this cable goes underneath this cover and has a bracket. That bracket is held in the base of the machine on the deck by one screw. That one screw breaks all the time. All the time. So first things first is we need to take this cover off. There's a couple screws that hold it down. I like to take this bar off as well. There is 2 half-inch nuts on this side as well as the other side. That gives us just enough room to take this cover off easily without having to go through a whole lot of issues. That's boring, so just two covers off. Let's go ahead and get to work. Now this is all done, we can kind of see the problem here. This lonely bracket sits on top right here and holds it in place, the cable, which then puts tension on it. So it's supposed to sit, I forget how, it's supposed to sit something like this, I believe. Probably helps if I do that. Yeah, like this. But as you can tell, it is just foobar in there because it just keeps stripping out and breaking. If it doesn't strip out, it breaks. The aluminum in there is very poor quality. I do not like it at all. This is the third time I've done, not this machine, but this exact model. And I wished it was big enough to put 2 holes in, but it's really not. Now you can make it bigger, don't get me wrong. It's aluminum, it's not like it's diamond. So you can add material. It's just going to be a whole lot of work. The problem that I have with this specific customer is that he likes to have this super tight, and that just does nothing good except wear the belts out and snaps these bolts. No matter how many times I tell him, happens. So until then, this is going to keep on happening. So as a cautionary note for you in the future, don't put it tight. Put it the way it's supposed to be. That's it. Just put it the way it's supposed to be. So this is the fun part. We need to remove the motor, or at least remove part of it so we can move the muffler out of the way. That is not necessarily easy because there's 4 mountings, and through that little crevice you have to wedge yourself through. So I'm going to spend some time. It is a better idea to take off the belts, which I oddly enough just put a new one on for him. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get started with that. You're not going to see anything. To be honest, I won't even see anything. This is something I have to do by touch. There's 4, 1 in this corner, 1 in that corner, the back corner, and the other corner. Should be half-inch, so I'm just going to struggle my way through this, and I will be back once we have some type of movement. Usually, if you just get 3 and loosen the one in the back corner down here, you can move it enough where you can get a straight shot down to do what we're going to do. So this plate is there, and I remember there was a way to remove it, but I was a little forgetful on how. But there's 2 bolts that go through, and that plate connects there. Those 2 holes are where those bolts go through. And after you do that, you have full access to both belts, the guard, pretty much everything you need to remove the engine. I have the engine propped up on the block, so when I do take the last bolt off, it's not going to fall. I'm going to remove all the belts so it's easier. In addition to that, I think there's a throttle line I need to remove, or No, maybe not on this one, but either way, I'm going to look and make sure there's no lines going to the motor before I have to actually remove it. Assuming I do, I might just tip it off to this side. I'm going to try tipping off to this side first, though. If I remember correctly, that was a whole lot easier than actually removing it. For convenience and filming purposes, I decided just to, take the motor off. Anyway, the motor's off. Wasn't the easiest thing to do, getting this one out, but with a socket that can kind of bend the head a little bit, it was easy enough to get out. Moving forward, so now we have everything ready. This thing is on a very hefty diet. It's a whole lot easier to move around without the engine on there. This is our problem. And here, as you can tell, it's interesting. But we are going to uninteresting it. I'm going to take a Dremel. I'm going to carve out a lot of that aluminum. At one point I thought there was another bolt in there, but maybe the bolt fell out, or I took it out and just stripped out. I don't remember. Either way, I need to grind some of that out, and then we're going to continue on with the rest of the process. I'll explain that right now, actually. I'm going to TIG weld it. I'm going to TIG weld a whole lot of aluminum in there, and then we will go ahead and get it completed. This should go all the way down. I don't see any other way for it not to. So I'm going to TIG weld a whole lot of aluminum in there. We'll just have a blank slate. That way we don't have to worry about this ever again. So I'm not done grinding, but this looks like it would go all the way down. No, it actually stops like maybe like right about there. If you put your finger behind, you can actually feel it stop. So I don't want to grind all the way down, maybe 3/8 of an inch, and I'm a little bit over a quarter. Because at least 3/8 of an inch of thread engagement is going to be enough where it's not going to be a problem. And to be honest, if I remember correctly, the bolt that holds this down really isn't all that much thicker. Or longer, so I'm going to continue to do that, and then we'll start welding. Took the paint off, got it ground down a decent amount. I'm going to just spend some time TIG welding this, AC TIG welding. I'm going to be using some aluminum filler rod. Basically, I'm just going to go over it. I don't have a welding camera, so I'm not going to really show much of anything. However, I'm going to go over it with the TIG welder, just kind of bring up some crap. Then I'm going to clean it, because this is kind of dirty aluminum. So if you just go over with no wire, just kind of bring all the impurities out on top, you get a much better weld. So go over it, take the crap off of it, then go over with a filler rod, fill it in as much as humanly possible, get it really hot, try not to disform it too much, because the more I disform it, the more I have to rebuild it. And then we will drill a hole once it's cool. Hopefully we'll be well about our business. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get welding. Ooh, the plot thickens. I think I found the original bolt. It never actually came out. So that was weird. I did not see that at all. So this must have been repaired before. I don't know how well you can see this. See that little top? It was a different color. What really got me is I put a magnet on it just to make sure I was right. It was aluminum. And it is, but it had a slight magnetic appeal. And I looked at it and the shine was different. It's in the center. Let me show you. So I hit it with a chisel and I started to see the threads pop out. So I'm going to take a little time and try to get that nonsense out of there. So this is the sacrificial bolt. What I did was I put a tack on the actual steel part, and then once I had enough to build up on it, I welded on just a random bolt I had, and then I was able to take it out. Obviously it's not the best of angles, but whatever. It slipped. Anyway, took it out, and here we go. So I'm going to clean up a little bit more, but now we have a little bit more to fill. So I suppose that's good. Yeah, really glad I noticed that, because there's no reason there should be any magnetism whatsoever on this. After some welding, grinding, a little more welding, like I said, I go over it real quick without filler rod, and then I grind it again because all the crap on top is really dirty. You get a lot of impurities. Then I take my aluminum filler rod, which is 4043, and just start shoving it in there. Get the pool nice and hot, ram it in there. It's seriously just like I don't even dab. It's just legitimately just me going like this. Not even joking. It would be a lot easier. Well, maybe not. This is a 16th inch rod. Maybe a 3/32 would be a little bit less of a feed. I don't know. I mean, it would, but I don't know how well it would work. Any case, it's literally just me just going like just all the way. I mean, this started off at 3 feet. I probably have about 18 inches left. So 18 inches of 1/16 rod went in there. So I cleaned it up with a carbide burr. They're not supposed to be used for aluminum, but it's a real small cleanup. I made sure it was level with the back, and I cleaned up the little channel. Right now, just going to put wherever that little bracket went and put it on there. I'm going to mark where I need to drill the hole. Exmark really did not think about camera tripoding when they're designing this deck, but whatever. So this has a little slight indentation. I don't really like that. I'm going to flip it over when I install it. So the problem is the groove is pretty much where the bolt is, so I don't really like that. I want to have a little bit more while still holding it down. So I'm going to go right about there. Yeah, that's pretty much centered. I mean, a little bit off, but that should be fine. I'm not really too worried about the distance on going around or on the outside. I was mainly just concerned of going too far in, because don't really like that idea. But I'm gonna get a drill. I have a 1/4 inch bolt that's gonna go in there, so I'm going to start small. I believe it's going to be like a 16th. Can drill it down to approximately the length of the bolt, and then I'm going to go up one more, and then I'm going to go just a little bit under. Then that's when I'm going to get my tap set out. Oh man, you know those old 90s cop movies when they would do something stupid and their lieutenant or what captain or whatever they were would punish them by doing traffic duty or something? I'm pretty sure if I ever got in trouble for work and they needed punishment for me, it'd be tapping and drilling holes. It's just absolutely horrible. I hate every moment of it, but we have a tapped and drilled hole in the freshly cleaned aluminum that will indeed take the new bolt all the way. So we are looking good. We went from completely foobar to I don't think foobar. I think it's doing pretty good. Yeah, so what I'm going to do, like I said, you're not going to be able to see a whole lot, so I'm not going to show all of it, but I'm going to mount the cable. In fact, we could do that one. That one should be easy enough. We have our cable. Actually, you know what? We should paint this real quick. Good thinking. It's not 100% dry or a great match, but it's painted, and while I said, let's paint, I got a phone call right after saying, hey, I really need to use it. Are you done yet? So we are going to work with a little bit of wetness. Now, let us put the bolt in. I chose a longer bolt. I didn't really have time to go to the hardware store, mainly due to the fact that, well, he needs it now, but you know, make do with what you have, I suppose. Now he, for whatever reason, likes for it to be like that. No, and the brake needs to barely be touching. Otherwise, you don't have a brake. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. All you have is just elaborate nothing. It just sits there. Oh, there we go. Okay, and the brake is right here. It needs to stop the spinning when you let go of the cable or the handle. So you're gonna be my, oh yeah, I was gonna put Loctite. Maybe I'll put it on later. Let's take a look and see. It holds. It doesn't appear to be moving. Brake actuates the way it should. Okay, I think we're in pretty good business here. Let's see here. I think I'm going to put the motor back on. That, like I said, is really hard for me to show because, well, it's just, I can't even see half of it to begin with. So I'm gonna put the motor back on and I'll put it all back together and we'll see what we have. Yeah, I think we are set to go. I'm gonna ramble on a little bit about this real quick. A few months ago, I did a video on why I think you should always have a TIG welder in a small engine shop. This is 100% the reason why. Stuff like this. Now, granted, if you get one of these as a repair, you shouldn't have to do anything that we just have done, technically. I mean, the only reason why we're having to do what we just did is because the hole was just completely stripped out and there was just really no going back from it. And then we found out that there was a failed repair before it, where they didn't even bother to remove the broken bolt that originally sheared. So that just made it even worse. So they had two holes right next to each other, and if you were to just drill and tap a new or put another bolt in the old hole, you probably wouldn't have that much of an engagement, and it probably would have stripped out again, because the entire third section of it would have nothing there except just air, and that's not good. So you don't want air. So TIG welder, it's just saying, it's 100%, in my opinion, necessary for a small engine shop. Before I started working on this, quoted a local repair area, not a repair like small engine repair, but I'm talking like weld repair area, just for a quote on this repair. And they asked me a couple questions. One, they asked me when I needed it by. They couldn't do it because they were at least 3 weeks out. Okay, whatever. Imagine this person didn't need it for 3 weeks. Continuing on, I asked how much would it be to repair, just to fill in this hole, and I kind of gave them a rough dimension of what it is, how much, what had happened, yada yada yada. They gave me a rough estimate. They said it could go up, it could go down, but roughly $95 to do that, and that was a $30 fee just to walk in the door. Even if they looked at it for 10 seconds and said, no, we can't do that, $30, here you go. Knowing that there was a second bolt in there, you know that's going to be well above that. I'm thinking this repair alone in a weld shop is at least $150. I could be wrong. Maybe you have really cheap weld shops where you live, not where I live, especially not aluminum. I know that for a fact because I get these people all the time. Anyway, so having an aluminum TIG welder not only are you going to stand out on your repairs, but this was not that difficult. If I wasn't recording this, this would have taken me an hour and a half, potentially. Even if I were to charge $100 an hour, $150, that is just the fee for them to fix this hole. And I'm not going to be charging that. I usually not going to say how much I charge, so let's just say there's a reason why the same people come back to me over and over with different machines, and their friends come back. We are finally at that glorious point where we are going to give it a pull and see what happens. Cautionary note, when you have this machine on its side like I did for a little bit too long and it's full tank of fuel, sometimes the fuel will seep out here. It did a little bit already. It's on the fuel tank. It's normal. I like to take a little hose and blow in there. There usually is a hose already on there, but for whatever reason this one doesn't have it. I'm assuming it's been broken for a while. Don't know. But we're going to give it a pull, and nothing's going to happen until I pull on the handle. It should engage the blades. So as long as the blades engage and we don't hear a pop or a clank or nothing, then we should be set. I am very happy with that. Everything should be good. So ideally, like I said, if this were to happen to you, you simply take the bolt out. The easy way of doing that is pretty much what I did. Weld on the top of it. It's dissimilar metal, so as long as you weld on the actual bolt, like the body of it, and because the head's missing obviously, and then you weld something on top of it. Sometimes you can just take like a nut and weld it, take a ratchet and just ratchet the whole thing out. You could do that, but if you had to do what we just did and have a improper repair completely fixed over, like I said, a TIG welder, an AC TIG welder to be exact, is very, very valuable on this. It is expensive. While just talking about it, I realized my gas is still on. I should turn that off. It is expensive, but you're able to do a whole lot more work with it, especially in small engines. So if you're looking for one, I would highly recommend. If you only have space for one, or only the need for one welder, or want only one welder, AC TIG welder for small engines. Definitely a wise decision, especially for stuff like this. I'm rambling. Have a good rest of your day. If you like what you see, keep watching. Follow me on Instagram at smallengine101. If this helped you out, leave a comment below. Definitely subscribe. I'll catch you on the next video. You have a good rest of your day.